You are listening to The Thought Leaders Show with the world's cutting-edge, hottest innovators, influencers, and impact makers today. If you are looking for inspiration and motivation, listen in. Welcome to The Thought Leaders Show. Now, here's your host.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Dezi Koster. We have had Dezi on the show before, but she always has something exciting to talk about. So today we're actually going to be talking about girls and science. So this should be a very interesting topic. Let me tell you a little bit about Dezi. Dezi was born a natural healer. She became a seeker of deeper truth, desiring knowledge about consciousness and the universe around her. After completing her studies in psychology, holistic medicine, and Maharishi Ayurveda, she kept searching for ways she could contribute to improving the health and quality of life for her clients and the world as a whole. In 2011, she had a life-changing encounter when she met Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, founder of the Trivedi Effect. After receiving her first blessing from Guruji, she realized that this was what she'd been seeking her whole life. Through Guruji's blessings and guidance, her divine gift was enhanced. She is able to harness and transmit life force energy to people, animals, and plants to optimize their potential and to change the nature and behavior of non-living materials. Her healing abilities have been validated in scientific research for overall health and well-being, improved quality of life, anti-aging, vitamin D3, and bone health. Welcome, Dezi.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Wow, that's a big intro. Thank you.
It's always a mouthful when I'm hoping I said the thing about the Ayurvedic something or other, because I was reading that and I was saying, whoa, there's one of those that I should have practiced. But anyway, Dezi, I am actually very interested in this topic because I, of course, am a female, and I have watched girls and women, we've gone through so many changes. And as a young girl, I was told, I grew up in the 70s, and I was told, hey, you can do anything you want to do. You can become anything you want to do. And I believed it, but I didn't know all the different obstacles that would stand in my way. And you recently wrote a blog, How to Optimize the Potential of Women and Girls so that they can reach for the stars, because you were inspired by NASA scientist Grier Wilt. So can you tell me more about why you were so inspired that you wanted to write about this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So I absolutely, when I read what she was writing about, it really, it touched my heart, and it reminded me of what it was like when I was growing up and how I loved science. I was very lucky. I had an amazing teacher. My biology teacher she was really incredible, and she had this amazing personality, and she made science come to life. And so it became one of my very best subjects. I excelled at it. And I think a lot of it had to do with her because of her love for it, and also the way that she expressed it, and she made science related to us. And I think for a lot of people, and a lot of young people and for girls, science, maths, engineering, technology, it's kind of this thing out there. And the thing that I loved about Grier Wilt's article was that she described how growing up, there were these great science programs that she got to do, and that was something that she went to, and she went to on the weekends, and so it became more and more something that she loved more than just a hobby, until eventually, she really pursued her dream. She was encouraged to pursue her dream, and now she's a scientist that works at NASA, and she gets to work with astronauts and do really cool and amazing things. And so I love the idea of this whole topic, because again, a lot of the things out there, these they call them STEM programs. So that's the science, technology, engineering, and math. They're finding that in some instances, girls or young women aren't wanting to go into those fields, and different people were making comments, oh, why should they be forced into that, and women should be doing this, and my thought is, well, first of all, it's not up to men to decide what women should be doing, but rather, if we inspire girls into looking at how incredible science is, and from the perspective of themselves, so that they begin to marvel at what science really is all about. It is the study of knowing who and what you are. So you get a better understanding of who we are as human beings, a better understanding of what's our purpose. And then you see that mirrored all around us. When you get to study high levels of mathematics and engineering, you see these amazing patterns. And these patterns are what are replicated in nature. And we, as human beings, as women, as girls, we are part of this amazing fabric of life that is made of divine creation, that is made by nature. And so we get to see this mirrored all around us. And I think that makes it, that personalizes it, and then it inspires us to kind of go, I want to know more. So that's for me what inspired me to write the blog that I did.
It's interesting how you describe science, because I always loved science and doing experiments. And when I was a kid, I have to laugh. I can still remember a really simple experiment with potato starch. You put some chemical on a potato and it turned purple. Or we would grow the beans, and that you'd grow the beans, and of course there was always somebody in class whose beans always grew like 3 or 4 times better than anybody else's beans, and I never quite understood what that was all about. But like you said, for some reason, at some point, girls are either discouraged from pursuing science or math or technology, because I remember when you talked about math, for example, I was very good at math until algebra. And the only reason that I wasn't good at algebra was because I don't think anyone ever explained to me about all of a sudden they were using letters, A, B, C, etc., and X and Y to represent unknowns. And that I couldn't comprehend it. So I didn't do well once they started replacing numbers with letters, because nobody bothered to explain to me what that meant. And I'm pretty sure if I had known, I would have gotten it. Now, you do a lot with science, because you've done scientific experiments related to the Trivedi effect. So as somebody who does have this scientific background, and you're applying it to your business, you're applying it to your daily life, and I think that's one of the things about a lot of times girls, because think about it, cooking and baking are actually science, because there's chemical reactions.
Absolutely.
And it's just that we're not taught that when we're doing it, that we're actually doing science experiments all the time. and that we are naturally predisposed, both boys and girls, because if we learn how to cook, we're learning how to create reactions in the world. But I want to pull this in to talk a little bit more about the life force energy and science, because sometimes I think we don't get that the divine or the God of your understanding or life force or the authority of life, whatever nature, is scientifically proven that there is a God of your understanding, if that's what you call it. So can you address that a little bit more and why it's so important for women and men to really acknowledge this connection?
Yeah. If you look at from a science perspective, what underlies everything is what's known as the unified field. And this is something that's recognized by science. And even for somebody that may not have a belief in God, we all know that there is a field of energy that governs everything. So, if we look at everything that's going on around us, there is this energy of creation that is in every single thing, whether, it permeates through the atom, all the subatomic particles, all the way through to large matter. If you're looking at something as huge as a whale, every single thing in our universe all is made up of the same type of materials, all the same principles. They all of science, of matter, they all correspond to the same laws of nature. They all correspond to the same fields of nature, and they all have the same type of building blocks. So, if we break down a single cell amoeba, we're still going to find the same sub-particles if we, broke down a blood cell, or if we broke down a cell that belonged to a monkey or a whale or an elephant. If we look at the smaller particles and then build them up, if we look at human beings, we all have a very set system and incredible structure. I mean, we're a walking universe. And when if you peel away our skin and start looking at the different systems and how everything works, we have these incredible, what's known as homeostatic feedback loops that connects all the different systems, the organs, and then all the, the substructures that are inside our organs, and then orchestrates this whole thing. We've got, about 40 trillion cells in our body, which is, how this whole thing works. We don't even have to think about it. So we've got everything going on. We don't have to think, okay, now it's time to breathe. Now it's time to regulate my blood pressure. Oh, now it's the time I have to fight off pathogens, whatever it might be. It's something that is governed by this creative intelligence, this highly, highly intelligent energy that is in the unified field. And then it governs the rhythms and the cycles of nature that are going on around us, including our own human body. And we work with very finite parameters. If you were to attempt to increase our body temperature, for example, if you wanted to increase it by 20 degrees, we'd be dead. If you want to reduce it, we wouldn't be alive. So there are things that, we can speed up and lower our heart rate, but if you go beyond a certain parameter, we can't survive. We can go without eating and drinking for a little while, but if you said, okay, you're never going to drink anything for the rest of your life, it's, there are things that we need to function, and those same cycles and rhythms, the same type of order and orderliness that we see in the rest of nature also applies to us. So, the thing is, when you look at it from that perspective, you start seeing that there is this incredible order to everything around who we are. There's an incredible order and a science to how we're functioning. And the thing that I love about the Trivedi effect is it starts bringing this side of what's known as consciousness So that ability, that connection with the God of our understanding, but also that ability to function at a much higher level, it brings that with science. So it merges these two platforms together, and we start seeing remarkable results. So part of the reason for Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, why he did science, was to start showing the impact of consciousness, the impact of this incredible phenomena on living things, living organisms, and non-living materials. So the beauty is we start to see what functions normally. Now with this energy, it is able to take on incredible qualities. It's able to change. One of the experiments that Guruji did, he was working with several crystalline substances. And, you know, up until really Guruji, looking at an atom, it was pretty much recognized, it was pretty much held as science that an atom is an atom, and there are smaller components, but you know, that's pretty much it. It's made up of protons and electrons and has neutrinos and things like that, but you can't really play around with an atom. You can't change it. However, when Guruji did this experiment, he showed there is a change in the atomic structure. And that was something that blew everybody away because he changed science. So through this divine energy, we see things change at the deepest, most fundamental level. Even, you know, at the level of the atom, it optimizes the functioning. So we're able to see different elements or substances that actually, prior to having this energy, they don't exist like that naturally on the planet. So what energy does is it optimizes the functioning. It changes the behavior, how cells function, how the molecules function, how the atom functions. So it gets, so by optimizing all of these different components of whether it's living, like us as a human being, or whether it's cells, or it could be, say, supplements that you take, or skin creams, for example, that you apply to your skin. It optimizes the potential of those things and gives you a better outcome. And again, from the science experiments, what we've seen is from these preliminary results, we get to see a boost in how we function. So once you boost somebody's immunity, they have greater ability to fight off pathogens. So you don't get so sick. Your gut, which has all those really good bacteria in them, you're able to improve the quality of that bacteria in the gut. It means that you've got greater bioavailability of uptaking nutrients in your system. And so it adds, it adds a different quality to us as a human being. It also changes the way we think and function in our brain. It boosts our cognitive functioning. We only tend as human beings to use maybe 1% of our brain. So now it's like we're able to use more. We're able to connect things better. We're able now to think differently, discern differently. All of these, we're able to be more in flow with this amazing creative energy. So our GPS, we talk about it in a way that inner guidance system is like our GPS. So the more in tune we are with this energy, the more or the greater that GPS functions. And that then allows us to capitalize on opportunities, see things, get ideas. And one of the things we're seeing more and more in science is people are starting to realize, if I start mimicking nature, I might get a really amazing result. And so we're seeing more and more with incredible innovations in science that there are things that are now being mimicked because nature, God, the divine, that blueprint is perfection. You don't get any better than everything that's going on around us. And it has nature or creation even has its own self-improving qualities, such as natural selection. So it's naturally doing that. But if you see how nature functions, using the path of least resistance, osmosis, all of these things that it does so that we are the most efficient and effective and incredible performing beings possible. So to me, that's how science, when science starts looking at this consciousness and seeing how incredible it can be and how it can change our lives, then it creates a whole new paradigm in science. We're seeing how it impacts diseases. It is able to, if you look at Guruji's experiments with cancer and some of the experiments he's done with different diseases and disorders, you see that cells that are like that, like cancer cells, they become prolific, they start turning on the rest of the body and they start attacking the healthy tissue. And this energy, it just shuts that whole thing down. Not only does it stop those cancer cells from reproducing, but it also boosts the healthy cells, the healthy tissue. And it boosts the overall self-healing qualities of the human being or of whatever the entity that it's being tested upon. So we're starting to see this amazing, I mean, it's remarkable. And it's non-invasive. It is 100% organic. It is something that has no side effects. Unlike when we look, there's no question that medicine is amazing. However, when we look at a lot of some of the latest ways of dealing with some of the major illnesses and disorders, the side effects are enough to kill you. So it's great to see something where it's complementary to what's going on. The beauty also with the Trivedi effect is if somebody needs to be on medications, it enhances what they're taking. So that's something else. So it helps to mitigate the more negative side effects. And again, by boosting somebody's health and wellness, it allows them more readily to be able to deal with the impact of those medications on their physiology.
I think I've been listening to you and I was thinking, as you're describing science, and I was thinking about when I was growing up, what science was to me, it would be like they would talk about, again, math, algebra, geometry, calculus, but they never really talked about, well, how does this relate to me in my everyday life? The same thing with science. It was biology, chemistry, physics, and anatomy, things like that. But again, there was never an idea of how does this relate to me in my daily life. And of course, if you were going to take chemistry or physics, it was, because I was going to maybe go to college and do something like, I had quite a few friends who ended up becoming pharmacists.
Yeah.
I think that was the program they offered at Oregon State University. I think about 3 or 4 guys in my class became pharmacists, and I was in science classes with them. But if you think about what you just described as science, think about all of the cool things that you could open your mind to if you were studying science and you shifted the thought a little bit about, well, I'm going to prove the existence of God, okay, that type of thing, or I'm going to work with science so that I can understand how the human body responds to life force energy, which are experiments that are actually being done through the Trivedi effect today. So I just was thinking about how cool is that the Guruji is opening the doors for, like you said, a new paradigm in science, because of the way we think of science right now. And like you said, if scientifically they say, okay, the atom cannot be changed, yet science experiment showed that it was changed.
Yeah.
Or, of course, people are always doing studies on, cancer research or health research or that bioavailability that you talked about, because that is the reason why so many people are sick, is because of whatever's going on in our world. We're not absorbing, like, for example, sunshine, vitamin D. We're not processing it the way that we used to. So, of course, there does have to be science done to start understanding, well, why not? And then, of course, how do we make it so that we can become healthier? And, of course, with what you're describing is that divine connection through life force, it's already perfect and it's already there. It's just that we have to understand it, and that's a science in itself of how do humans develop, and especially for girls and women and everyone, boys and girls and men and women, that having that open-mindedness to even imagine all of the possibilities that are there. So that is really fascinating about that. And it is good that girls are realizing, it doesn't have to be that, like you said, the science, technology, the STEM, but at the same time, it is about life and about operating not only from the ego part of us, but from the spiritual side of us, that whole being, the mind, body, spirit connection that I think people are really starting to realize that they need to understand, this whole mind, body, soul connection. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. And, another amazing area, I mean, we're all very concerned about the environment, the impact of the environment. And again, this energy is able to show incredible things when it comes to agriculture, to plants, to livestock. We're able to see with some of the experiments Guruji's done, I've done some little experiments, but we see amazing things from, from using this energy. And again, realizing that this is not my energy, it's divine energy. I'm a conduit for this incredible energy and this amazing gift. But what we see is an enormous enhancement of this energy, how it permeates into living things. So with some of Guruji's experiments, we're seeing when he's done a single blessing on plants, on a huge acreage of different crops, up to a 500% increase in yield. I mean, that's amazing. So looking at, well, what can we do about, the issue that we've got weakened crops, or we've got, people are looking at doing genetically modified crops and seeds and going that route. Here again is something that is non-invasive, no side effects, is organic. We don't need the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides. But you're able to get this huge yield. It boosts all aspects of the plant. It increases their chlorophyll, their ability to make chlorophyll and absorb the chlorophyll. So that means that they're able to, that chlorophyll is what helps plants grow, and it also helps plants with their immunity. So we get to see more, a greater root mass, and roots is what absorbs the nutrients from the soil. We've got greater amount of chlorophyll, which means you're going to get bigger yielded plants. We get a higher nutrient content in the actual plants and crops. They become more impervious to disease. So it's a huge win-win. And the other thing that is amazing from this energy, there is a ripple effect, and it actually enhances the soil. So over time, we see an increase in the minerals that are in the soil. It kills off, it enhances the good bacteria in the soil and it kills off the negative or the harmful bacteria in the soil. So again, we all have this love and desire, and I think, women as well, particularly, we're here to help our families, and we've got a huge concern about our environment. So here is another area of science that can look at, wow, we can help the food that we're eating, we can help our environment, we can boost the quality of the soil, the quality of the plants, and so that helps everybody's health. So there's so many different aspects. The thing that Gurji's done, he's done experiments in multiple different areas of science. And that's what I love as well, so that, whatever you might have a love of, you can go into that area and then start exploring, like you said, well, how does this science relate to me? And then, how could I contribute to this aspect of science? And the thing, again, pulling it back to Grier Wilt and everything, if you have some dream, even an inkling of a dream growing up, then here is a way to kind of never, ever give up on your dream, even though you might not quite know how you're going to do it, or if you come across some obstacles, like you said, I started doing algebra and then this happened, or I started doing physics and was like, oh, this happened. But if you were able to keep that big picture, what we don't get when we're younger is this amazing divine destiny that comes to us. And if we stay the course, we literally get to reach for the stars. And the fact that I was able to even do this science is, it's still mind blowing to me. How does a girl from Australia, number one, end up in America, ends up working with one of the most incredible human beings on the planet, somebody like Virgil, get to participate in science experiments with a $5 or $6 billion research company? It's like, it seems like it's science fiction, and it's not. This is exactly what happened because I said yes, and also because I always had this passion and love for science, and when an opportunity came, I simply said yes. And that's the thing to inspire girls, is to say, whatever your passion is, whatever you love to do, go for it. There is somebody out there that even if you might be the first person in your field ever doing this, but the beauty of you getting up and having the courage to do that is you light the way for other young women to be able to follow you. If you think of people like, Madame Curie and some of the most amazing female scientists, they paved the way for other scientists to follow them. For some of the I remember seeing that amazing, it's a book, but they also made it into a movie of how they got some of the first astronauts on flight plans up to the moon and everything. There were these absolutely brilliant female mathematicians who they were the ones that worked out. They didn't have computers in those days. They did all the math. And they were the ones that primarily did that to get those guys into space. Sometimes it's not about us being the number one person, the front person, but it's about being that support system so that you help the world take a giant step for humankind. And that, as women, we function differently from men. Our brains function differently, our whole physiology. We're the same, we're very similar, and on some aspects we're different. And when you look at what women can do and the way we think, the way this whole amazing brain functions, we bring a different flavor, a different aspect, a different quality, and a different perspective to these particular subjects, and really to everything. And when you integrate that, when you marry that into what we have, it adds a richness and a depth that these subjects need, that the world needs. The world needs more women to step up and express their brilliance. And that's what inspired me, when I started writing this, wrote the blog, and what inspired me to say, we as women, the things that we've done, the fact that I was able to do this science is quite frankly miraculous. This science is miraculous. And if I've done it, anybody can do it. Anybody can get out and do science and do their piece, their part, and make a difference, because by doing that, it helps the future. There are things that we are doing now that future generations will be able to do. The technology that's happening now, the science, the breakthroughs that are happening now with engineering and all of these different fields is because of what's happening now. It's changing the future. And that to me is incredibly exciting. And when you think about it from that perspective, if that's something that you can do, if you have a dream, then you've got to go for it.
I absolutely agree. If you have a dream, go for it, because you could be the one person who opens the doors. Everyone, if you would like to talk to Dezi or find out more about her, you can go to her website. It's DeziKoster.com. That's DeziKoster.com. And of course, you can look at the science she's participated in, and you can always check out the TribettiEffect.com website also. But really, Dezi, I think you're so inspiring, because I think that your message to young people, and especially girls, is that if you have a dream, go for it. The world is wide open for you, and there are all of these opportunities. And like Dezi said, she said yes. So if you just say yes to the opportunity, just imagine what you could do. So again, it's DeziKoster.com. Go check out the science, the programs. You can read her blog there, and she has some other great blogs too. But you can actually go to DeziKoster.com and read the blog, How to Optimize the Potential of Women and Girls So They Can Reach for the Stars. It was just published, so you can do that. And any last words, Dezi, before I let you go?
Sure. One of the big issues in some of these areas, I know growing up is always a challenge for all of us. Nobody kind of gets away with skating through, especially the adolescent period, because we're changing so much. And it's a time when we're unsure of ourselves and we don't have the same kind of confidence as we'd like. And the key here is it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You have to believe in yourself. And when you have that belief, and that's something that, this energy does, it really supports, it really holds and boosts that level of self-confidence. Then you know that you're held by the divine. And even though it can be a little bit rocky, it can be a little bit bumpy, you've got to go through the ups and downs, you've got to go through adolescence. Sometimes there might be some, people tease you and that type of thing. But that doesn't matter. What matters is you and what you're made of. And what you're made of is this incredible divine energy and the ability to get out there and really help shape the world. The world's waiting for you, so go out and make it happen.
The world is waiting for you, so go out and make it happen. And that's DeziKoster.com. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day. This information is not intended to provide diagnosis, treatment, or medical advice. Products, services, information, and other content provided in this broadcast, including information that may be provided in this broadcast directly or by linking to third-party websites, are provided for informational purposes only. Please consult with a physician or other healthcare professional regarding any medical or health-related diagnosis or treatment options.
You've been listening to the Thought Leaders Show. To get all past shows and to get all future shows, go to thoughtleadershow.com.